Einen wunderschönen Willkommen zum heutigen Abend. Willkommen zu einer weiteren Runde Foolish Mortals. Auf der Suche nach dem verlorenen Schatz von Bellemore Manor hat Murphy McCallan den Rat eines Hexendoktors befolgt und die Geister von Bellemore Manor mit einem Zauber beschworen. Dadurch hat er jedoch auch den Geist des bösen Phantoms John Rackham befreit. Nachdem Murphy die Geisterbraut Abigail Bellemore vorübergehend von Rackhams Liebesbann befreit hat, muss er nun in einem Wettlauf gegen die Zeit den verlorenen Schatz finden und dem bösen Rackham zuvorkommen. Um ihn zu erreichen, muss er die Leichen der 3 ermordeten Brüder von Abigail finden und von jedem von ihnen einen Schlüssel zum Gewölbe holen. Geleitet von der Hellseherin Madame Blanchette. Wir werden da wahrscheinlich wieder Hilfe benötigen.
From this far away, I couldn't make out what had changed at Crossbone Cove, but the plume of smoke and debris suggested something was different.
Wir haben das Autosave geladen. Theoretisch müsste ich jetzt eigentlich meinen letzten Speicherstand laden. Das war den hier. Machen wir auch. Genau. Haben wir. Denn wir haben das hier kaputt gemacht, ne? Und wir haben jetzt die Möglichkeit, da reinzugehen. Schauen wir mal, was wir hier finden.
A ghostly glow flickered from the far end of the cave as I slipped on the seaweed-covered rocks trying to reach it. I began to fear the worst, but as I emerged in the subterranean chamber, I discovered it was actually the otherworldly glow of plankton. I didn't know if my mind was playing tricks on me, but the rock formations in the cave began to look like a skull and crossbones. So that's why they call it that.
Aber wir haben noch Algen.
I wasn't going to be able to pick up the algae with my bare hands.
Musst du ja nicht. Wir können die in der Thermosflasche nehmen.
That didn't work.
Okay, können wir nicht. Wir können die in der Flasche nehmen.
I scooped up some of the algae water. With a quick shake to agitate it, the bottle began to shine like a blue lantern.
Okay.
I found you, Xavier. Your final expedition won't have been in vain.
Kleinen Moment mal.
I grow weary of your inability to heed my warning, Murphy McCallan. No good shall come from you pursuing this.
Ich weiß alles über deinen Plan, Rackham.
I know all about your plan, Rackham.
My plan will succeed, with or without your interference. I'm afraid you're making a terrible mistake, McCallan. For your own sake, I suggest you leave this island for good.
Never. Whether you like it or not, I'm part of this story now, too.
You haven't learnt, have you, McCallan? Everything you've done so far has just made the situation worse. Now is the time to back out.
I'll never do that, Rackham. Finding the treasure is more important to me now than it's ever been.
Then I hope it's a cause you're willing to die for. Just as Xavier Bellemore drowned in the rising tide of this cave, so shall you.
When Rackham's earthquake finally stopped, I realized the route I'd followed into the cave was blocked. Tons of impenetrable rock and rubble now stood between me and the outside world. I was trapped. The only source of light was the glowing algae in the water, but even that dimmed to darkness when it went undisturbed in the quiet cave. At any point, the cave could fill up with seawater, drowning me just as it had Xavier. I needed to find a way out.
Okay. Zeig mal her.
There was no way through the wall of rubble, but I couldn't just stay in the cave. I needed to find a way out. I didn't know if my mind... So, I didn't need to bother Xavier anymore. I wasn't going to be able to pick up the algae with my bare hands. It was a soda bottle I'd filled with bioluminescent algae water. I didn't need to pour algae water. As I stood still, I noticed the algae beginning to dim. I'd read that its glow was triggered by vibrations, and without my footsteps, it was getting darker.
Da gibt es keinen Ausweg. Ah, vielleicht kann ich spachteln.
High tide would have finished me off long before I'd managed to dig my way out. I needed to... I couldn't do that. That wasn't going to work.
Okay, warte mal. Haben wir nicht viel. Wir müssen halt mit unserem Inventar klarkommen. Das heißt, wenn, dann können wir nur mit den Sachen hausieren, die wir schon längst bekommen haben. Das heißt, wenn ich jetzt eine lange Zeit jetzt hier stehe, ich speichere mal sicherheitshalber ab, haben wir ein Problem, weil es dann zu dunkel wird, richtig? Was ist denn, wenn ich das nehme und dann... Das wär's, ne? Wenn das...
I didn't need to pour algae water on that. I wasn't going to... I'd read about phytoplankton before, and how its glow was triggered by the vibration of movement around it, but nothing compared to the magic of seeing them. Disturbed by the gentle wash of the waves, algae in the water was glowing blue.
Was mache ich denn jetzt?
I didn't need to blow on that. I didn't... It was a rock formation at the far end of the cave. But was it natural?
Ja, wahrscheinlich nicht. Ich komme da nicht hin.
So that's why they... There was no way through. My path into the cave had been blocked by a cave-in. I suddenly felt the need to wear a mining helmet. I couldn't... That wasn't going to work. I needed to think of... It was a firework rocket. The type that needed to be placed in a tube to launch it. I needed to...
Oh, ich hab's gesehen. Warte mal.
As the darkness dimmed in the cave, I began to make out a faint luminescence in the form of a whirlpool. Some turbulence beneath the water was making the algae glow, and I hoped it might be an underwater tunnel. When the cave had gone dark, I'd seen glowing algae below the water, disturbed by some unseen current. Perhaps a way out? The lights below the water didn't offer much chance of escape, but at least it was better than waiting to drown in the cave. Using the bottle of algae as an underwater lantern, I waded into the water, then dived down below the surface. The underwater tunnels felt like a maze. I pulled myself past jagged rocks and twisting passages, with only the ethereal blue glow of the algae to light my way. Until finally, with only seconds of air left in my lungs, I reached the surface.
Murphy, what are you doing over there? It's dangerous to swim out here, you know. You could get washed into a sea cave or something.
Oh, thanks for the advice, Crab. I'll make a note of that. Green from the seawater I'd swallowed, I could at least say I'd survived being drowned. And now I had Xavier's key.
Sehr gut.
Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
I'd like to head back to Dead Nettle, please.
Hop aboard, Murphy.
So, Special. So, jetzt bleibt nur noch die Geschichte.
Murphy, the Devil's Rock Devil's up to his old tricks again.
Oh no, what's he done this time?
I heard that he's fired antique military artillery, swum outside of the designated recreational beaches. Know anything about it?
Can't say that I do.
The Devil's Rock Devil continues to elude us.
Wir haben jetzt nur noch einen Schlüssel, uns fehlt aber noch ein Hinweis. So, wir haben Xavier. Das haben wir erledigt. Das war die Schatzkarte. Ist auch der Schlüssel hier, ne? Schlüssel des Entdeckers. Cecil fehlt, glaube ich, noch.
The apparatus looked like the handiwork of a mad scientist. I thought it was best not to mess with it. Who knew what sort of reaction I might set off?
Ich weiß nicht mehr, was ich hier mitbekommen habe.
The bag was empty of everything but papers covered in an unintelligible scrawl. There was nothing else in the pockets of the lab coat. Hanging on the coat stand was a thick, off-white lab coat.
Das war das versteckte Labor.
Welcome back, Murphy McCallan. Take a seat.
I have some more questions.
Ask away.
Der fehlt noch.
Tell me again, how can I find the body of Cecil Bellemore, the scientist?
Cecil's body lies in a hidden laboratory, and you must find it. Cecil never told anyone where he conducted his work, but in happier times he created a treasure hunt for his brothers, were they ever to seek him out. That is your lifeline, Murphy. Follow the trail of clues to reach that laboratory. I sense the first clue lies in Cecil's bedroom.
I should get back to trying to open the vault.
May fate be in your favor, Murphy.
Wenn ich jetzt so wüsste, was wir da mitgenommen haben. Ich weiß es wirklich nicht. Was hatten wir in dem Labor mitgenommen für einen Gegenstand? Der Gegenstand war im Laborkittel. Es war aber nicht die Sterbeurkunde. Wobei, das ist noch offen, ne? Zeuge Herr Cecil Bellemore. Bestatter Herr Edgar Kettle. 1. April. 31. März.
It was a death certificate, but the name had been left blank. It was a death...
Keiner kann uns... Warte mal. Vielleicht ist es wieder so ein Benutzen-Ding.
I still had a key to put into the fireplace.
Ja, ich weiß.
Welcome back.
I found a death certificate, but it doesn't have a name.
Part of Cecil's treasure hunt, is it? Well, he must have left a clue somewhere. It might be as clear as black and white.
Wo haben wir irgendein Datum?
The books covered all manner of scientific subjects, magnetism, thermodynamics, chemistry, and much more, none of which I had the time or understanding to read. I couldn't... I didn't have anything to talk to him about. Hello, Rupert.
Hello again, Murphy. Have you given any more thought to my offer?
You mean the offer to poison me?
Well, you needn't put such a negative spin on it. Personally, I think death's just got a bad rap.
I suppose if the Grim Reaper showed up in a glittery tuxedo jacket instead of a hooded cloak, we'd all be much more on board with it.
Exactly. We all have misconceptions about the afterlife. I used to think we were reincarnated.
Not Aaron.
But the fact that I have the same neck wrinkles and big belly, just now translucent blue, has certainly put the lid on that theory.
Did you say Rackham took an interest in the poison garden?
That's right. Asking me all sorts of questions.
What did he want to know?
He was asking which ones could drug a person. Ended up rather captivated by the indigo ivy.
What happens if it's used as a drug?
Just a few leaves in a cup of tea would have you paralyzed for hours. There are no ill effects once you come back round, though. Of all the plants here, it's probably one of the benign ones.
Unless you're bricked up alive before it's worn off. Do you have any indigo ivy left?
I don't. It was all missing the morning after Rackham asked about it.
Why did you believe in reincarnation?
Well, it was more for the social aspect, really. We used to have monthly past life parties. There's something to do at the weekend, you know. You dress up as the person you used to be, until the venue asked us not to come back.
What happened?
It was a disaster waiting to happen, to be honest. By the last one, we had 3 different members claiming to be Napoleon. And they decided the best way to figure out who was genuine was by seeing who would be the first to reconquer Western Europe. We had one person claiming to be Ebenezer Scrooge, despite the stumbling block of his being a fictional character. The final straw was that we had one Julius Caesar and one Brutus. They got in a fist fight outside the venue when Julius tried to jab Brutus with a French loaf from Bon Ton Bakery, shouting, "Baguette too, Brute!" He said afterwards he was just trying to even things up.
Who did you think you were reincarnated from?
Anne Boleyn's my best guess. She had green sleeves, didn't she? And I often have such a splitting headache that a whole beheading thing might come as a relief. How about you, Murphy? You think you had a past life?
If so, I can't imagine what I did to deserve the life I've got now. Can I attend one of your past life parties?
If we get them up and running again, I don't see why not. You need to pay the membership fee, though. $50 per person.
Oh.
I know. I thought it was expensive when I joined up too. But it's worth the gamble. You only live once, don't you?
Okay.
Well, no time to stop and smell the roses. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Murphy.
Look what I discovered inside the statue.
Oh, what's that then?
A death certificate without a name.
Well, I hope they weren't buried in here. A decomposing body would wreak havoc on my petunias.
Okay, das war die aus der Statue. Da sind wir aber noch nicht weitergekommen. Okay. Wen könnten wir denn noch befragen?
Do you remember officiating this funeral? I have the death certificate, but the name's missing.
The name's missing? That's not an oversight I would make with the paperwork. Has someone been officiating behind my back?
I had nothing else to say to Father Foskett. I didn't think he'd be interested in that.
Okay. Mal wieder Bildschirmzeit geben. So, vielleicht kann sie noch was sagen. Ansonsten gehen wir jetzt noch mal zum Friedhof. Irgendjemand muss uns ja sagen können, wer zu dem Zeitpunkt verstorben ist.
Do you know who this death certificate belongs to?
Of course I don't. It's got no name. What use is a death certificate without a name?
Ja, weil es vergessen wurde, Mann. Nee, gar nicht. Vielleicht kann sie mal in den Akten nachgucken, aber ich
Anything to
glaube,
report?
I'm keeping my eyes open. I didn't need to show her that again. I did. I didn't think. I didn't need. I did.
okay.
I did.
Welcome back.
I did.
Okay, ihm auch nicht. Da ist er. Das hatten wir auch schon.
I didn't need to. Edgar was inside his shack, buried in work. Not literally, of course. I thought I'd leave Edgar alone for now. The death certificate must have been written up in relation to one of these graves, but without the name, I didn't know which grave it was. I didn't need to climb back down into the grave. I couldn't reach the chandelier. The text read, "In the light find the cross, for it shall bring you safe passage." I still had a key to put into the fireplace.
Ja, okay, das machen wir jetzt erstmal.
I needed to place it in its keyhole.
Ja, auch das.
I placed the second key into the mantelpiece. I didn't need to take the key with me.
So. Nichtsdestotrotz fehlt uns irgendwo ein Hinweis. Das Datum.
It was a death certificate, but the name had been left blank.
Aber mal andersrum. Hiermit wird bescheinigt, dass irgendeine Person am 1. April des Jahres unseres Herrn 98 verstorben ist und respektvoll und prompt auf dem Friedhof am 31. März beigesetzt wurde. Wie geht denn das? Am 1. April ist jemand verstorben und am 31. März des gleichen Jahres beigesetzt. Hä?
It was a death certificate. It was a death certificate.
Hä?
It was the cotton flag that Crab, the ferryman, had given me, embroidered with his company logo. That wasn't going to work.
Das irritiert mich gerade jetzt wirklich. Wer kann mir denn noch Auskünfte erteilen? Ich muss nachgucken. Ich weiß das wirklich nicht. Zeig mal her. Den fehlenden Namen. Konnte aber nur das Datum der Beerdigung. Ich musste mich an eine Stelle wenden, die über historische Informationen verfügte. So, Juniper Gemeindeblatt. Ich musste sie aus dem Büro locken. So, okay. Ah, okay. Ah, okay. Okay. Das hätte ich jetzt, also es ist wieder nachvollziehbar schlüssig. Ich hätte es wahrscheinlich nicht, also ja, ich hätte irgendwann
Don't
versucht.
touch it now, Mac. It's still cooking. Got to wait until the skin is nice and charred.
Okay, gut.
If Ned wanted to wait until the fish was cooked to tuck in, it was time to turn up the heat.
Whoa! We don't want you overdone, little fishy. Time to cut you open. Ready for a tasting station, Mac?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Hand me back that knife, would you? That's strange. There's something in here. A horseshoe.
Now, how did that get in there?
Mac, I think your fish is stuffed.
Well, knock me over with a herring. I'm shocked. Does this mean my record doesn't count?
I hate to break it to you.
Did I hear what I think I heard? Out of the way, Buster.
Evelyn! What took you so long?
The record-breaking Pancosa was stuffed. The new record was a sham. Murphy, what have you got to say for yourself?
You've caught me red-handed. Well, I don't mean to be coy with you, but this cuts me to the soul. I only entered for the halibut. I can't believe I'm herring this right. I'm cracking up. I'm floundering. I'm carping on and on. I need to clear my head, but let me know if you need anything else from me.
I think you've got more of a future in the funny pages than serious journalism, Murphy. Kips, have you got time for an interview with the Juniper Parish Gazette?
Evelyn homed in on Ned like a dog with a bone and no sense of personal boundaries.
Okay.
Do you think it was subterfuge?
Jetzt aber.
Now playing at the Calliope Theater, Voodoo Island, stories of the mighty pirate Victor Sepulsa. The newspapers in the cabinet dated back decades. If I was going to find something specific, I needed to match it up with a date. Using the date from the death certificate, I began to search through the newspaper's archives. And then, I found it. In the bottom corner of the newspaper was a small announcement showing that the person buried on that date was named Eleanor Hines. I ripped out the announcement and replaced the newspaper.
Das ist ein anderer Name als in der Übersetzung. Greta Heilinka stand da. Stattgefunden am Tag unseres Herrn, 31. März 98. Bezeugt von Herr Cecil Bellemore auf dem St. Juniper.
It was the obituary I'd ripped from the newspaper giving the burial date of someone named Eleanor Hines.
Steht Greta Link hier. Upsala.
McCallan, I told you you can't go back there.
Whoops, look at the time. I've really got to be going. I had a name to go along with the death certificate. Now it was time to find out where they were buried. Do you know where I can find this grave?
Eleanor Hines? Name rings a bell, but I can't remember the face. She must be around here somewhere, though.
Toll.
I scanned the headstones for anything of note, but didn't know what I was searching for. I began searching the graves for the name in the clipping, Eleanor Hines. Aha! I discovered a small headstone at the center of the cemetery, partially covered in moss and lacking any date whatsoever. So this was where Eleanor Hines had been buried, except now that I was looking at it etched in large letters, I began to realize something. The name was an anagram. Here lies no one? And if a person wasn't buried here, what was? I wasn't going to be able to exhume the grave with my bare hands. To say digging up a grave felt eerie would be an understatement, but if something was down there, I needed to find out what it was. I took out the shovel and began to dig. Eventually, I found something. Not a coffin, but instead, a battered old chest.
Eine Linse.
I opened the chest I dug up from the grave and found two things of interest: a round glass lens and an engraving in the lid of the chest. I picked up the glass lens.
Ablieder.
The small lens fit perfectly on the end of the telescope. I immediately looked through it to see what it would reveal. I spy with my little eye the next clue.
Ach so. Dachte schon, er macht's automatisch.
Perhaps a shipwreck lay somewhere off the coast? Perhaps there was something important about the weather vane, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was. Maybe the top of the outcrop would provide a different perspective on something? The Tale of the Mermaid. This must have been the location described in the chest's inscription, but looking through the gap in the weather vane, all I could see was darkness. With no easy path to it, I couldn't justify risking my life trekking through overgrown wilderness and the alligator-infested bayou unless I was sure something was there. I needed some way to light up the bayou.
Quatsch. Den Bayou. Wie wir gelernt haben, sind einige Rätsel oder Dinge öfter. Reicht das aus? Ich weiß es nicht. Es hätte so rüber gemusst, ne? Ja, mal gucken.
With no easy path to, I needed some way to light up the
Einen Fehler gemacht. Wir müssen dahin schauen.
Thought back to the mysterious darkness within the mermaid's tail I could see from the Bellemore Manor cupola. I realized the lighthouse light was shining in the right direction. It was far too far away to light up that part of the island, blocked by the rocky cliffs. If I was going to illuminate the bayou, I needed a way of doing it that was much closer.
Okay. Jetzt strahle ich in die richtige Richtung. Hä? Ich guck mal trotzdem, ob wir irgendwas sehen.
With no easy path to it, I needed to light up the bayou, but the lighthouse was much too far away to reach this part of the island. I needed something closer to home.
Dichter.
As I looked at the weather vane, I remembered the carving on the treasure chest lid, the tail of the mermaid, and I noticed the small gap that the mermaid's tail encircled. Perhaps from the right vantage point, the next clue would reveal itself. It was an empty soda bottle I'd found on the beach. That didn't work. It was an iron weather vane in the shape of a mermaid.
Brauchen Licht. Wir brauchen Licht. Doofe ist, dass die Flasche wieder leer ist, aber es schimmert ja nur.
I didn't need to blow on that.
Wie kann ich denn...
There was nothing else of interest in the trunk. I didn't need... I could... I'd already walked that road numerous times. Was there something along it I was missing? The creek meandered all across the peninsula. Surely that was too much to search. The bayou would have been an easy place to hide something in. The clearing offered plenty of places to bury the next clue. The clue could easily be hidden beneath the pebbles in the bay.
Das ist eine gute Frage. Wie kann ich das mit Licht bescheinen? Es tut mir leid. Ja. Ey, man muss das Spiel wirklich in einem Stück spielen. Okay. Ah. Mein Fehler.
The firework dropped snugly into the drain pipe. If it needed a launch tube to fire, this was the closest I was going to get.
Eben drum. Oh Gott. Jetzt nehmen wir Streichhölzer und Feuer frei.
I took a match out of the matchbook, dragged it against the striker, and lit the firework. Illuminated by the glow of the fireworks, I could see something through the mermaid weather vane. It looked like a wishing well.
Okay.